I'm a 27-year-old guy who's been with my girlfriend, 25F, for nearly 3 years. We've been living together for a few months now, and honestly she's amazing. Smart, kind, funny, and basically everything I've ever looked for in a partner. One of her big passions is Dungeons and Dragons. She's super into that whole fantasy nerd scene, and while it's not really my thing, I love that she has her own interests and friends. She's even tried to share her world with me. She explained the game, the dice, the rules, but I just couldn't get into it. It felt too complicated and a bit too far outside my wheelhouse. We tried playing Baldur's Gate 3 together, hoping that would be a better entry point for me, but I lost interest pretty quickly. It became clear that this was something she was better off enjoying without me, and that's totally fine. We have plenty of other things we love doing together. Still, I can see how much she loves it. She lights up when she talks about her weekly games, and the stories she shares from them actually sound pretty epic. Her sessions are online, and since we share a 2-bedroom apartment with a combined home office, I usually just give her space, either chilling in the living room or heading out when she's playing. But here's where things got a little strange. A few weeks ago, I noticed she started locking the office door during her games, and I couldn't help but think, why? It's just D&D, right? That tiny action didn't sit well with me. And I'll admit it, I did something that now feels kind of sad and maybe a little desperate. But I genuinely didn't know what else to do. The last few weeks when she had her game, I sat out in the hall by the door and listened. She uses headphones, so I could only really hear her side of the game, and at first it was just some stuff about rolling dice, joking around with her friends and spells, doing whatever. But I kept at it. I sat there for 4 hours last week and over 2 hours this week. But eventually I heard it. She was talking about Slash with another person, and it was really romantic. It was tender and very emotional. She legit said something like, "You know I love you, so I want to help you save your family," or something like that in a clearly romantic way. It went on like that, like a clearly emotional discussion with a romantic partner that lasted a solid 15 minutes. Then it went back to other stuff, but by that point, it didn't matter. I was really upset and went back to the living room, and when she came out after the session I confronted her. I told her I heard her talking and telling some guy how much she loved him, and how he was the only one who ever got through to her or something, so she would do anything for him. She said I was taking it out of context, and that it was just pretend and playing a character, but I told her it didn't matter. This wasn't some video game where her character was speaking written lines to another character with written lines who wasn't real. She herself was saying sweet, loving, romantic things to another real person, and it hurt to hear. It felt like cheating. She said it wasn't cheating and her character wasn't her. She just did it for the drama and thought being romantically invested made her character better. She also said that me sitting outside to listen in on her game was a violation of her privacy and showed that I didn't trust her, which was why she felt like she needed to lock the door in the first place. I apologized for that, but at the same time I said that me being wrong to eavesdrop doesn't justify what she did. To which she said that she didn't do anything wrong, it was just what the game was and it was just a game. But that made me feel even worse. Maybe I'm being whiny or misreading it, but she is the first person I was ever really vulnerable with like that, and the way she spoke to me when she told me how much she loved me, it was just so similar to the way she spoke as her character that it made me uncomfortable. It made me feel like something that was only mine, and only for me, was just given to someone else for a game. It felt like it cheapened it. Was she faking it with me? Was she genuinely feeling it for that other person? I don't know what exactly it is that's bothering me, because technically she's not wrong. But I don't care if she's technically not cheating. I just feel like there are certain sides of my GF that should be reserved only for me, shouldn't there? I couldn't really verbalize it to her, and after a bunch of arguing back and forth, we just went to bed. For the past few days we've been in this weird state of limbo, where we're going on like nothing happened, but also there's clearly tension. Today I couldn't take it anymore, and I said that we need to talk about it. I said that I understand her hobbies are important to her, but I am her BF and there should be certain things that are just for me. I can't go on knowing that she's talking like that to some other guy. So I told her that I support her going on with the games, but I asked that she no longer lock the door and no longer do whatever romantic stuff she does in-game. She said I didn't mind when she talked to me at length about her romance with that Astarian guy in Baldur's Gate. I told her again that that is not the same. I don't mind her playing at romance with a bunch of pixels and being moved by fiction, but that her D&D game isn't just fiction. It's her telling those things to an actual person, and that bothers me. So, I want her to stop. She said I was being possessive and controlling, and that I can't tell her not to have hobbies or how to behave. I told her that's true, but if she doesn't understand how I feel about this, we might not have a future together. She got angrier and said, I'm clearly not in a state to be having this discussion, and we'll talk again when I've calmed down and went to school. She's getting her ma, but in the time since I've been the opposite of calming down. I just get more upset the more I think about it. Clearly, me being upset should at least make her consider stopping, even if she isn't actually cheating outright. Shouldn't my feelings matter on this issue, but also maybe I'm not being reasonable. Maybe I am overreacting. So when she came home from school, I made apology dinner, homemade pizza from scratch her fave, and we sat down to talk. She started by demanding an apology because whatever else I had to say, eavesdropping and not trusting her were huge ups on my part. I agreed and apologized immediately, because that was shitty behavior on my part, no question. That helped her be more open to hearing me out, so I said more calmly and tactfully that it bothers me that she is simulating romantic love with a person I don't know in a context I don't understand. I said that I can and do apologize for my actions, but I can't change how I feel, and that also needs to be discussed. So she asked what I had in mind. I told her that I think trust should go both ways, so me trusting that the game is just a game and it doesn't mean anything is well and good. But in return, I'd like for her to keep the door unlocked and let me sit in on a few sessions. I promised not to be disruptive, not to overreact or interrupt the game, and to bring up any issues I had privately with her after the game was over. She seemed relieved because she was worried I'd demand she drop the game or break up with her, and said she personally didn't mind, but she needed to bring it up with her group, which I thought was very reasonable. The rest of the evening, though, she was constantly on her phone, constantly getting Discord notifications, and seemed more and more upset. This lasted for literally hours, well into the night, past when I was asleep. I asked if anything was wrong, and she said maybe, but not to wake up, and she promised to tell me everything in the morning. I didn't get much sleep, but I also didn't want to pry too much, having just promised not to. So come morning when I asked what happened, since she clearly didn't get much sleep and was clearly nervous, she said she brought it up with the group and reactions were mixed. I'm going to give these people fake names to keep track. So when she brought it up, everyone seemed okay with me listening in, except Joe. Joe is the guy whose character she had the romance with. Joe said in their group chat that he wouldn't feel safe acting, they call it role-playing I guess, when there was a stranger in chat and wouldn't participate in any game I was present for. This obviously made my GF respond that seeing the relationship between their characters was the whole point of me listening in, to which he said I'm being unreasonable and violating his boundaries by making unreasonable demands. This was already pretty bad in my eyes, but then she told me about the private messages after the group exchange. She got 3 messages. One was from Joe. Joe wrote a long, really long message about how much he cared about her, and how much it hurt him to see her dim her light to appease a controlling, abusive boyfriend, who stifled her creativity, and how she should be with someone who appreciated her, let her be herself and shared her interest, and that he was available if she wanted to talk. He finished with a paragraph about how women like her always go for selfish, and don't appreciate the wonderful guys all around them, how he felt such a connection with her through their characters, and how could she ignore it. I genuinely couldn't believe I was seeing one of these in the wild. I don't usually get second-hand embarrassment, but that was so cringe I almost died. Like I genuinely laughed. I couldn't really be angry. That was just so sad. She also got messages from Jenny, another player, who said Joe seemed way too invested in the romance for her taste, and she thought those segments were taking up a lot of game time, which she thought was better used elsewhere. She never said anything because she thought my GF was really into it, but now that it became an issue, she thought she should. She also mentioned she found Joe creepy, which I personally appreciate. I don't know any of these people, Irl, because it's an online group, but I certainly think Jenny might be my new best friend. Finally, there was a message from Mitch, the guy running the game, who said Joe reached out to him demanding I not be allowed to, and this is a quote, violate the intimacy of the group. And he should talk to my GF too to get her to drop me listening in, and possibly drop me altogether. I don't even know how or why Mitch would even attempt to do that. All this resulted in them cancelling the next game as they work it out. My GF didn't respond to Joe yet, but at least she seems relieved that I'm taking this well. I told her, of course I am. I'm not going to be upset over some guy being into her. She's wonderful, of course guys are going to be into her wherever she goes. The issue I was worried about was that she was into him back, and these messages convinced me that that's clearly not the case, which seems to have made her feel a lot better. We talked a bit more, and she now seems to agree that locking the door in context might have seemed suspicious, and that going forward, our ground rule should be that character dynamics that make her feel like she should lock the door might be the exact dynamics she should make me aware of. While I promised to trust her to tell me these things, and not to eavesdrop anymore, and approach her openly about listening in on sessions. Also, the romance with Joe's character isn't going to continue, but seeing how she feels about Joe now, I think I do trust her to do character romance going forward, just to not hide it from me and be selective with who she does it with. I don't know how the Joe situation is going to be handled within the group, but I guess that's up to them since playing with him is obviously going to be very awkward for her. Guess since she doesn't intend to keep up the romance, it doesn't really matter. Didn't like being left on read, so he wrote my GF a very rude message about how, I kid you not, she was going to die alone with cats because her boyfriend is going to leave her when she loses her looks. He literally never saw her in person, to be clear. Uncovering my secret plan, I guess. So she just blocked him and sent a screenshot to Mitch. Joe isn't going to be part of the group anymore. GF apologized for not recognizing how absolutely unhinged the guy was. We reasserted that any in-game interaction she isn't comfortable having in front of me is probably one she shouldn't be having.